If you think a deposit is all you need for your first buy to let, you're in for a real surprise. After buying hundreds of properties for our investors, I can tell you that the deposit is only one part of the real cost. So in this video, I'm going to show you every cost you need to know, the mistakes to watch for, and how to keep your budget safe from day one. To start, let's run through the costs before you even get the keys. This is a mistake I made on my first property and I nearly ran out of money. So when I bought my first property, it was £105,000. I'd saved a 25% deposit and in my head, I thought I was ready. That was the problem. I assumed I could finally get on the property ladder, and here's why this matters. When the cost starts coming in and you haven't planned for all of them, you start to panic, and if you've got no buffer, every invoice starts to become a problem. That's what happened to me. Some of these invoices I expected, some of them I had no idea about, and I remember thinking to myself, why doesn't anyone tell you this? So let me show you what this actually looked like and what you should expect. So the purchase price was £105,000 and the very first payment I made was the broker fee. Today you can expect to pay around £500. That's what my broker charges. Then the lender who's going to give you a mortgage will need a valuation, roughly £400. Then I decided to get a survey. This is optional really, but I recommend you to get one. And for most standard buy-to-lets, a level 2 home buyer survey is usually enough. That typically costs around £500. You'll need a solicitor to handle the purchase, and this can vary, but if you set aside £1,500, that should cover it, and most solicitors will need some upfront payment to get the ball rolling. Searches come in next, and searches are basic checks your solicitor runs to make sure there's no hidden issues with the property. And just remember that if the deal falls through, you can't reuse them, you have to pay again. And searches, they'll roughly cost you £300. Then what will happen is the lender will issue the formal offer, and that's when the mortgage arrangement kicks in. It's usually somewhere between £1,000 and £2,000 depending on the lender, but let's say for this example £1,000. You can add the arrangement fee into the loan so you don't pay upfront, which is what I usually do. So even before paying the deposit, I was already out of pocket by around £4,000. Your solicitor will then send a completion statement, and that's when you pay the 25% deposit, which for me was £26,250. And the next cost is a cost that I absolutely hate. I don't think any investor likes paying it, and it's stamp duty. And stamp duty is the tax you pay to the government when you buy a property. It's a scam, but it is what it is. For buy-to-lets, the rates are higher. You now pay 5% up to £125,000 and then 7% on the portion above that up to £250,000. So on £105,000 today, you'd be paying 5%, which is £5,250. And you'll also need landlord insurance in place from completion, and that's roughly around £300 a year. Now, can you see the difference? You're not paying just the 25% deposit of £26,250. It's closer to £35,000 in total. And that's where I realized I hadn't planned properly, and even a small unexpected cost, it feels big. Here's what I learned. There's more to purchasing a buy-to-let than a deposit, a lot more. And once you see clearly like this, it's not as scary because you now understand what you need to budget so you'll never be caught off guard like I did. But buying a property is the easy part. The refurb is where most people really lose money. So let me show you what to look out for. Now, the thing about buying a property is that most of the costs will be fixed, but the problem with a refurb is that it's not, and that's the risky part. Because a refurb, it can be anything from £5,000, £40,000, even £100,000, and that difference is what makes or breaks your deal. Now, here's the part most beginners don't understand. Just because a property looks tired, it doesn't mean it needs a full renovation. This property I bought only needed minor works, new carpets, paint, and a quick refresh, just under £5,000. That deal worked because I didn't overdo it. I just did what the property needed. But then compare that property to this one, my latest one I purchased, cost £37,000 to refurb. That was the full works, new kitchen, new bathroom, new boiler, replaster the whole house, new flooring, rewire, full decor. And this is why it's hard to predict a refurb cost, because it all depends on the property. So here are 3 things I always advise. First thing is get at least 3 builder quotes, preferably from a recommendation, but if not, you can use a website like checkertrade.com. Second, always allow a 15% contingency in case things come up, because they usually do. And the third thing is factor in location, because if you're investing in the south, labor will be a lot more expensive. In the north, it's going to be a lot cheaper. Materials don't change too much, but the labor definitely will. Later on in this video, I'll show you a full refurb breakdown so you know exactly what to expect. But for now, let's look at other costs you can't ignore. Because whether you refurb a property or not, if you're renting it out, there are legal rules you have to follow as a landlord. First, a gas safety certificate. If the property has gas, you legally need this every year to make sure everything's safe. That'll cost you around £80 to £120. Second, an EICR, which is your electrical safety report, and usually lasts 5 years. You can expect to pay around £150 to £300 for that. And third, your EPC, short for Energy Performance Certificate. For a buy-to-let in England, the property must have a minimum rating of E to be legally rented out. And an EPC itself usually costs around £60 to £120. And this is why I say property isn't risky, but not being prepared for these kind of costs is. And being prepared doesn't just stop at buying or refurbing a property. Owning the property comes with its own costs you need to factor in. So after I bought my first property and the rent started coming in, I was happy. At the time, the rent was £550 a month. The mortgage was around £200, I think. So in my head, I was like, this is working now. That's £350 a month. The problem is that's how most beginners calculate profit. Rent minus mortgage, and they assume the rest is theirs, but that's not the full picture. And if you don't understand the full picture, you'll think you're making more money than you actually are. If you only focus on the mortgage, you'll overestimate your profit like I did. Because owning a property comes with ongoing costs whether you like it or not, and if you're not prepared for them, your cash flow will dry up quickly. Yes, there's a mortgage. For a buy-to-let, that's usually interest only, meaning you're just covering the interest each month. To work yours out, just Google mortgage calculator and there's plenty of them. But then there's management. I self-managed at the start, but if you want the property to be as passive as possible, you'll want to use a letting agent. That's 8 to 12% of the rent plus VAT. Then maintenance. It's just a good idea to budget at least 5% of your rent for wear and tear, because things break, right? Some years it'll be small, some years it won't, but at least you're prepared. I'd also keep 5% aside for voids, for when tenants swap over and then the rent stops but the costs don't. Then accounting. My first property was in my personal name, but now a limited company makes sense for most people depending on your situation. If you're using one, expect £500 to £1,000 a year for accounting. And then there's tax, which depends on your structure and income. None of these is a deal breaker, but they all cost you. What I realized pretty quickly was this: it's not that property doesn't work, it's that numbers only make sense when you actually look at all of them. Because buying a good deal is one thing, understanding all the other costs is another, and that's what most people miss. Now, don't worry if some of these costs have caught you out before, but now you know what it really costs to buy and own a buy-to-let. But the refurb is where most deals are won or lost. And if you want to see exactly what a full refurb actually costs and how to avoid overpaying, watch this next video and I'll see you over there.